I'm Jordan Hatfield. This is Faster Film Critic. Today on the show, we talk Mission Impossible with Kolter and Chase Fugel. Mission Impossible is a classic 1996 action film directed by the Brian De Palma, starring Tom Cruise, Jon Voight, and Emmanuel Bayard. But before we get started, let me take this mask off and remove this voice synthesizer, and you'll
see that I'm actually Kolter, and I've been hosting this podcast the entire time. Get in, we're going cinephiling.
Dun 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 dun. Good morning. Hey there, guys.
Good morning.
I can't sing. Dun
Dun.
Mission Impossible, guys.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Are you even Kolter?
Yeah. We'll find out by the end of the episode.
Am I really Chase?
Right.
I don't even know anymore.
Right.
I've already taken my disguise off to prove that I'm actually Kolter, but let me start tugging on Chase's cheeks over here to see if he is who he says he is.
Okay. Just make sure you do the right cheeks.
Yeah. It's hard to believe this was made in 96, huh?
I can believe it.
I have a feeling Chase doesn't love this film. Chase is a Brian De Palma guy, though, right?
Yeah.
You're a Brian De Palma guy.
For the most part. There's a few stinkers in there.
Is this a stinker?
Let's talk about it. Let's see. What did you guys think about it?
It had been a while since I watched it. I was kind of surprised at how convicted Tom Cruise is in this role. Like it's a Brian De Palma. He only did this one movie. I think he's quoted as saying something. He's like, no, there's no reason for me to do another one after this, which was kind of funny because it went, as you guys know, it went into the hands of multiple directors, finally landing with Christopher McQuarrie. So yeah, the franchise has an interesting history, but I had fun watching it.
Have you guys seen the TV series at all? The original Mission Impossible TV series?
What?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, dude. There's a TV series. Mission Impossible ran from 1966 to 1973. 7 seasons, 171 episodes.
So this isn't even the first. Brian De Palma just made a movie off the TV show?
Yeah, he made a movie off the TV show.
What?
Yeah. And I've seen a couple episodes. I haven't seen a lot, but the TV series is cool. It's different. Ethan Hunt doesn't exist in the TV series. That name doesn't exist in the TV series. The TV series is really more character-driven. It's more deception and psychological warfare, where the movie series is really more fast-paced, stunt-centric action.
Yeah.
Do you think if the TV series didn't exist prior, this movie could have still propelled like this entire franchise?
Yeah, I think so. I think
You
so.
think so? By itself?
Yeah. Maybe under a different name. I mean, it's this movie is the only one that most closely resembles the original series, at least as it begins. And then it slowly kind of becomes its own thing after that. But that's an interesting question. I don't know. I think initially, the title of Mission Impossible drew in fans of the show, I'm sure, but then it kind of took on a life of its own.
I think most fans of this franchise under the age of, 50? Probably have never seen the TV series. Right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I bet so.
I mean, if the TV series ran from 66 to 73, there's not a lot of people my age that are watching TV from back then, right?
Yeah. Unless you caught reruns or something like that, which is what I used to see.
Unless you're a movie nerd and you're searching this stuff out. Like, you don't
Yeah,
go back
you
and
nerd.
watch that.
Yeah.
So I would say absolutely yes. Brian De Palma's film Mission Impossible could exist without the TV series, but it wouldn't because the TV series was the inspiration.
Yeah.
But there is some interesting history between these two, though, the TV series and the movie. Originally, Brian De Palma wanted the entire cast from the original TV series to show up in Mission Impossible. Then he was going to kill them all off.
Right.
And the cast was like, no, thank you. Like,
Right.
We're the heroes. We're not gonna be killed off. And so they all refused. Peter Graves is the main Ethan Hunt character in the TV series. He plays the character of James Phelps. And Brian De Palma wanted Peter Graves to come and play Phelps in the Mission Impossible film.
Right.
Which I think would have been really cool.
It would have.
But again, Peter Graves, seeing that his character, Phelps, played by Jon Voight in the film, becomes the villain of the movie, man, he wasn't having that. He was used to being a hero, so he turned him down.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, right? It's not like you look at Star Trek, the original series, and then there was a big gap between that show going off air and then the motion picture. Really worked well for that. And of course, they maintained all the characters, integrity and attributes and things like that. So, I'd actually forgotten that it was supposed to be the character from the series. So some actors do get attached to the roles that they play, and they're like, no, you're not going to turn me into a bad guy. And interesting choice to make for that character.
Speaking of interesting choices, Kolter, you brought this up, that Brian De Palma wasn't interested in a sequel.
Yeah.
It would have been fascinating to see what this franchise would have become had he done the sequel.
Right.
And the third, the fourth, the fifth, and continued.
Yeah.
I think it would have maintained some continuity throughout the franchise. But,
Yeah.
I mean, the franchise is massive. It's the 17th highest grossing franchise in the world. It's grossed over $4 billion. This is a huge franchise.
Right.
By the way, speaking of this, if you were to guess, what is the biggest film franchise in existence?
Star Wars. That'd be my guess.
That would have been my guess, too. What's your guess,
Are we
Kolter?
talking like profit or longevity or number of sequels?
Gross revenue.
Gross revenue. That's a tough one, man. Hey, I give up.
It is hard for me to think of a franchise being bigger than Star Wars.
Sure.
Like, Star Wars is massive. It's everywhere. It's gone for generations.
Sure.
There's apparel and Legos and shampoo and all sorts of silly stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was looking for an air freshener for my car the other day.
Okay.
I fart sometimes. So I was looking for the best scented air freshener. And like the top selling air freshener on Amazon for your car is a Star Wars themed air freshener. I mean, this franchise is so big.
Yeah.
And yet, it's only the third highest grossing.
No way.
Oh, shit.
It's the third. The first is Marvel, and Marvel by a long shot.
Okay.
Dude. A long shot.
yeah.
Marvel has grossed over $31 billion.
That's nuts.
Star Wars has grossed just over $10 billion. And
Okay.
$10 billion, that's a lot of money. It's a big
Yeah,
number. Now we know why they've done 38 movies in the MCU, right?
Yeah, it's a money printing machine, apparently.
Back to the 17th highest grossing, which is Mission Impossible. I'm going to tell you guys, I think this has the coolest theme music of any action film ever. I absolutely love it. I love it from the original TV series, that 60s cool vibe.
Yeah.
I love it in the new films, although every version is a little different.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some of those versions I don't particularly love,
Sure.
but it's just such a cool theme song
Yeah.
for an action movie. It just gets me in the mood.
Yeah, no, it is pretty iconic.
Not that kind of mood. It gets me in the car chase and jumping out of airplanes mood. That's the mood it gets me in.
Yeah. That's funny,
Good distinction.
My wife would be pissed if I turned this on late at night with the candle lit. Hey babe, come on over here. Don't. That'd be a wild night. Maybe I should try it.
Yeah.
Here's another shocker, guys. Did you know that Danny Elfman composed the music for Mission Impossible?
No way. No.
Danny Elfman. Yeah.
For this particular film or all of them?
This particular film.
Okay, all right. No, I did not know
That's
that.
crazy.
It's crazy.
And this was the very first film that Tom Cruise ever produced.
Oh, that's actually kind of a surprise. I didn't know that either.
Dude, there's a lot of cool people and facts attached to this film.
Yeah. Huh.
Do you know if this is the only one he produced?
He's produced all of them,
Yeah.
but this was the
What?
first film he ever produced.
Wow. So he really loves it.
I mean, it's his franchise.
That's his baby at this point. For
I'm
sure.
surprised he said he wouldn't be in a sequel, or at least one point in time he said that.
I wasn't aware. But, you know, I wasn't planning on going here, but Chase, you just spurred the thought. Where would Tom Cruise be without Mission Impossible?
Oh, man.
I mean, Tom Cruise is considered to be
Sure.
the only true movie star still
Yeah.
alive in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may agree or disagree. I personally tend to disagree a little bit, but I also recognize that I could be wrong in disagreeing with that. I understand the perspective for someone who says, no, he is the only. I mean, he puts butts in the seats,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
More than anybody else.
Yeah.
But so much of his career is tied up in Mission Impossible. I wonder where he would be without Mission Impossible.
I don't know.
Stuck in Top Gun.
Yeah.
Would have Top Gun 8 coming out this weekend.
Oh, man. Yeah, but he does seem to know kind of what audiences like. And I think that's the draw. He often plays himself. I mean, he's had some great acting roles that kind of deviated from things like this or Top Gun, and he's been really good at them. But this is kind of his bread and butter.
Yeah.
Indeed. So tell me, Kolter, what did you think of Mission Impossible?
Dude, I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, De Palma. So I think you really notice the details in De Palma's direction here. There's lots of iconic and memorable sequences. I think it was crafted really well, and I think some of the action sequences in this that set it apart from other movies in the franchises. We all know the famous kind of Tom Cruise, he's dangling down in this corridor trying to, get access to these files, and it's a super intense scene which is done with such silence So I think some of those things, there's the big train sequence, of course, and there are some action set pieces in this, but I think none more memorable than that shot of him kind of dangling, and he almost hits the floor.
In the CI building.
Yeah.
He just breaks into the CI building.
Yeah, exactly.
Beneath the laser vents.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the weight-sensitive floor and the temperature-sensitive walls.
Yeah. The first two movies of this franchise aren't all that well regarded. It's kind of interesting to see each one of them evolve with each sequel, but this one definitely most closely resembles the original series, at least in the beginning. And I think Ethan is very well realized. All the supporting characters are well realized. And there's not a whole lot about this movie that doesn't work. So I think De Palma brings his unique kind of style and attention to detail with a lot of this. And it's a little bit more grounded in terms of the action and things than the movies that follow.
So back in 1996, there weren't a lot of films that were this tech-heavy relating to hacking, internet-style tech.
Sure.
This was really groundbreaking for its time. Although the film relies on impossible tech throughout, which is not something I typically like, I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Mission Impossible. I do wish there were a little bit more character development. It didn't lean so heavy on its action.
Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more emotional connection to characters and backstory and that kind of stuff. But I think this film's great. I think this film is truly great.
What makes the tech more compelling in Mission Impossible films compared to like a Marvel film?
That's a great question, because I don't like Marvel. But it's not the tech that I don't like so much about Marvel films.
Okay. It's everything surrounding it.
It's mainly story surrounding it. I think that Marvel takes this idea of intense action to the absolute extreme. But that is a complaint that I have about the Mission Impossible franchise, is I wish it was more character-driven. I wish there was more depth to its story and it didn't lean so heavy on its action.
Yeah.
But Marvel just takes that to the extreme. So it's less about the tech in Marvel and more about the story and the characters and the development.
Okay.
I mean, one thing I love about the Mission Impossible franchise that Marvel has very little of, and this is largely thanks to Tom Cruise, is the practical effects.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's cool as hell that Tom Cruise is his own stuntman. I mean, he's hanging on the side of military airplanes as they take off and driving motorcycles off of mountains and scaling skyscrapers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool to see some of this stuff.
I heard he really did that helicopter stunt at the end, too. They actually blew it up and he was propelled onto the train.
Yeah, they did. It's true. Totally true. Actors were killed. People died.
Everybody but Tom Cruise died. He had to recover the footage.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. All for the sake of good movie. Yeah, it's all real.
This guy loves cinema.
It's all real. No, but I do think the practical effects are really cool. All the way through.
Are.
The mask scene, and I want to talk about the mask in a little bit more detail, but this is the only film in the entire franchise that uses an actual mask. It's an actual practical effect when they take the mask off. All the other films are digital. That kind of commitment to capture the action in camera is really cool. It's respectable.
Yeah.
It's fun. Bravo to Tom Cruise for that. Love it.
I think so, too. Like Jordan, I love to see practical effects.
Yeah, that's actually, been a huge trademark of this franchise. It's a more authentic experience as an audience member because of it.
I do think throughout the franchise, they use this mask trickery too much.
Sure.
I mean, there's a mask in every movie, and what it leads to for the viewer is you never trust what you're seeing. Whenever there's danger on screen, whenever someone's in trouble, you're always thinking, oh, it's not really them. And so it just creates this...
There's no stakes anymore.
Yeah, well, it just creates this hidden trap door in writing where they can just get out of any situation super easy. Mm-hmm. I don't love that. I'm not going to lie. I don't love that.
That's why I have such a hard time investing myself in these movies. Tom Cruise will be on screen and then he'll rip off his mask and be the antagonist. And it's... I'm just like, dude.
Yeah, or the other way around. Yeah.
So coming back to the practical effects, I wanted to talk about this. It's kind of silly, but there's a magic trick done in Mission Impossible with the disc.
Yeah.
If you remember, they've come out of the CIA building. He's got the list on the disc. And Krieger, played by Jean Reno, tries to blackmail Ethan Hunt in this moment. And Ethan Hunt pulls out a disc and he's like, you think I would trust you with the real list? Like, no way. Here it is. And he's doing all these sleight of hand magic tricks. There's a big debate whether he's doing this in reality or if it's camera tricks.
Okay.
A lot of people have said that because Tom Cruise is so devoted to practical effects that he's actually learned these tricks. And there's been magicians who have looked at the footage and then come out and given their opinion, whether they think he's really doing these tricks or not. But it's pretty funny because there's a big debate. I mean, this movie's so old, not a lot of people are debating it anymore. But when it first came out, it was, did Tom Cruise do this?
Yeah.
Was this real magic that he was performing?
I could see Brian De Palma being like, hey, this is going to be a lot better if you learn a little sleight of hand for this scene. But then again, who knows? They do so much trickery, and there's so many things you can do in editing that kind of really sells things like that.
I think Tom Cruise has given it his best shot, but I think there's some camera trickery going on there. Although, I don't know. I mean, Tom Cruise does perform sleight of hand in other movies that he's really done and pulled off. I don't know. It's just kind of a funny point of debate, because Tom Cruise is so devoted to authenticity and realism in his movies.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this story in Mission Impossible 1? Does it work for you?
Mostly, I think. It's largely a story about Ethan trying to clear his name, and at times it can be a little bit hard to follow. And it doesn't always make a ton of sense, but it also moves at such a pace that it's kind of, before you have too much time to think about any one point, you're chugging along with the action or the characters, and the pros overcome the cons. But yeah, it's a little convoluted in some places.
I had a hard time following the story and trying to get everything to make sense.
Yeah.
Once I have that hard time grounding myself in the movie, I'm more focused on trying to decode it and figure it out, and I just lose that connection to the screen, which is unfortunate, especially when all this other stuff is going on too. Like, people are ripping off their masks, and I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, story didn't do it for me.
I enjoy the story here. I think it's a fun spy thriller. I think it's largely well written. I mean, it's not a masterpiece by any means, but I enjoy it. The one thing that always kind of throws me, that always I get kind of hung up on, is the Job 3:14.
Oh, okay.
How Ethan was able to put that together. I mean, he comes across this Bible, he comes across Job 3:14, and then he just decides to send an email at Job at 3:14. Like, it doesn't make sense. I've never been able to figure that out in a way that's actually convincing. But other than that, I thought the story was, I mean, again, the writing in these films aren't fantastic. It's action-driven, stunt-driven cinema. But the story here, I really like.
Okay.
I like it. I have a good time with this movie. I think it's a great movie.
It is, man. I had a blast watching it.
It's a great 90s action film.
Yeah. Sitting with my wife, Myra, she was the one that actually kind of was like, what's, she asked a lot of questions during movies that I'm like, how did you not get that?
Shots fired, dude. You better be careful, man. If she's listening, you're going to be sleeping in the driveway.
She'll love that I said that. But yeah, she would ask questions like, what is he doing? And I was like, oh yeah, what the hell is he doing? What's going on here exactly? And then, but like I said, by the time I guess, I'm a little bit of a nitwit, so I'm easily mesmerized by bright colors and moving objects. So it chugged along well enough for me that it didn't bother me too much. But
De Palma is great at those bright colors and moving objects.
Indeed. There are scenes in this film that are just absolutely iconic. Kolter, you've already mentioned when Ethan Hunt breaks into the CIA headquarters and he's rappelling in this room. By the way, that room that he's rappelling into that's all white, that is a throwback to, guess what movie?
Alien.
Not Alien?
That reminded me of Alien.
It's got to be 2001.
Dude, that's right. 2001 Space Odyssey.
Okay.
That's cool.
There was another point in the movie that I thought of 2001 A Space Odyssey. I can't remember what it was, but it just...
Oh, it was the monkey scene when they beat up the dude with the bones.
Oh yeah, how could we forget about that?
It was that one.
How'd you forget about that? Yeah, I mean, that scene is so iconic.
Yes.
Not the monkey beating the dude up with bones, but the rappelling scene. It's so iconic.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's not the first scene I think of when I think of Mission Impossible.
Oh, okay.
The most memorable scene to me is at the very beginning of the film. The IMF team is at this building. There's a big party there.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is in a mask. They go down to the basement, and they're trying to capture video evidence of the villain who's trying to steal a list. And Emilio Estevez is there. His character, John Harmon, is killed in the elevator.
Yeah.
We should probably talk about
Emilio.
that. Just the fact that he was in it was funny, given its
I know.
the time frame. But
I know. I just kept thinking the wrestler from Breakfast Club.
So Phelps panics, and he calls abort. He aborts the mission. Everyone scatters. Ethan Hunt runs out into the street, and he's there with Sarah Davies, another agent.
Yeah.
And they're on the street. They're kind of pressed up against a wall.
Yeah.
And it's really dimly lit. Ethan Hunt is acting like he's kind of making out with Sarah Davies, or they're being romantic. And in the background, you see the villain walk out, and he's kind of smoking. And it's, again, it's kind of dark, dimly lit. The atmosphere is really cool. And I just love that scene, that whole scene. I don't know why, but that is the scene that sticks out in my mind in Mission Impossible.
Okay.
That may be strange, I know. But when you say Mission Impossible, that's the image that comes in my mind. Is him hugging her in the street, dimly lit, villain smoking in the background.
Yeah.
You know things have gone wrong. You don't know what's coming next.
Yeah. It is one of the most visually striking. Yeah,
I just think of that damn stick of gum. I don't know why. Attached to two sides and it blows up.
Hasta lasagna, don't get any on you.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and rate this film. Mission Impossible on a scale of 1 to 5. What do you give it?
Oh, you guys aren't going to like this. I'm giving it 2 stars.
Get out of here.
Chase,
and this hurts for me, too, because it's Brian De Palma.
Oh,
but
goodness.
There needs to be a little bit more strength in the writing and characters, and maybe even some room for silence. Like just let the movie breathe for a minute. That's what I would have liked to see. Still, I think the style is really cool, but not enough.
Dang. Well, like I said it before, I think Tom Cruise's conviction in his character kind of really holds this whole movie up. You know, his stubbornness as a character. The supporting cast is all great. It is a pretty competent spy movie, spy thriller. And the story is a little hard to follow sometimes, doesn't always make sense. But I think without a solid first installment, we don't get nearly 30-year franchise that followed thereafter. Had a lot of fun. Like I said, there's some really iconic and memorable sequences in this. Some of those scenes, I think I would counter what you said just a little bit there, Chase, with, I think that for the most part, you're right. The only part that I would kind of differ on is, you know, as an audience member, you really are kind of holding your breath with that whole repelling scene. And that scene really kind of gives you can call it an action scene, but it really gives you a chance to kind of really, really identify and really kind of root for what's going on with what Ethan's doing. It's really the only kind of moment of silence in the movie. But yeah, had fun. It was really kind of cool to revisit it. It's a solid movie. It's not a perfect movie, so I landed a 4.
4 stars from Kolter. I really like this movie. I hear what you're saying, Chase, when you say I wish there was more to it. I wish there was more story development and it was more character-driven. I feel the same way. That's my personal preference, but that's not the type of movie this is. This is an action movie. And if you do that, if you drive the movie with characters and narrative, we have an entirely different movie.
Yeah.
This is an action movie. I think it's a great action movie. I love the practical effects. I love the characters. I enjoy the story. I had a really good time during this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. So, Kolter, I'm going to agree with you.
Okay.
4 stars. But we want to know, what did you think of Mission Impossible? Please let us know.
I didn't love Brian De Palma's Mission Impossible, but his 1981 film Blowout, starring John Travolta, is a masterpiece. Stylistically, I think it's superior to Mission Impossible. The story is intriguing, and it's every bit as thrilling. It's one I think you should definitely check out.
Thank you for listening to Faster Film Critic. We're going to keep the Tom Cruise fun rolling. Join us next week when we talk Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. You can also follow us on Letterboxd, Cinetrek, and Instagram. Email us at fasterfilmcritic@gmail.com. Hit us up with questions, comments, feedback, or review requests. And please share this episode with your movie-loving friends.